Yes, everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Stephen Howson. I think it's time we look at the pros and cons and the possibilities and probabilities of Zidane becoming Manchester United's next manager. The obvious place for us to begin is with the only job he's ever had, which is Real Madrid manager. When you look at his appointment at Real Madrid, he came following the abject, complete and utter embarrassment of the Rafa Benitez reign. They didn't necessarily particularly need a strict tactician. They had an incredible 11. And some will say United have an incredible 11. I would strongly disagree. United have got some really talented and world-class players, but we haven't got an 11 with anywhere near the balance that Real Madrid team had. They wanted someone that could bring trust and chemistry and make the team believe. Let them play brave. Let them attack. This is a team that had Ronaldo and Benzema and Isco and Bale, and in defence you had Varane and Ramos, and at the time Pepe and Ramos, and Varane was there anyway, I think, actually, and Marcelo and Casemiro and Cruz and Modric. This team can go and win games. You don't need a lot of work to go and win this team, and the goal was ultimately to bring unity to the team and create some sort of a cohesion. And he brought in a new fitness coach, Antonio Pintus, so the squad didn't become more injury prone and they could begin to adapt to their new techniques. That was something that he did do. The most impressive thing that Zidane brought, I think, in the stints that he's had at Real Madrid, and what's most impressive is after he left the club in 2018, in the Champions League final victory, he announced he was going to depart, stating that the club needed a change. And once he left the club, Lopetegui lasted 3 months. He saw their worst ever run in La Liga. There were 12 points gap between the clubs, and they hit a humiliating 4-1 defeat against Ajax in the Champions League knockout stages, and it was their worst margin of defeat in the knockout stages ever. That led to Lopetegui being sacked. Zidane was reinstated and then went on to win, without Ronaldo, La Liga following season with their best defensive record in 30 years. So he's done it with and without Ronaldo. And his managerial stats in total at Real Madrid: 263 games, 173 wins, 53 draws, 36 losses, win percentage of 68%. He bagged 11 trophies in those 6 years as manager, cemented his place amongst some of their best managers in history. And of course, the 3 back-to-back, unprecedented back-to-back Champions League wins. First manager, obviously, to do that. That was one record that he set. Another one was he won a trophy every 19 games as a manager, which is insane. He's also the quickest manager in the history of top 5 leagues to win 8 titles at a single club. And he's also the only manager to defend the Champions League and Club World Cup simultaneously, which he did with Madrid. And he conceded only 23 goals in the 19-20 campaign, which is the best record compared to clubs in the top 5 domestic leagues. It's a very special record, which suggests more than the cursory, well, he just smashed it because he had Ronaldo kind of glance. He did have a great side. He's always had a great side at Real Madrid, but as Lopetegui found out, as Benitez found out, sometimes the right man for a job doesn't necessarily need to be the most tactically astute, doesn't need to be the most totalitarian sort of Conte sort of, you must play this kind of style of play. It's someone who gives them the freedom and the confidence to be themselves, which is what I thought they were very good at. Now, for me, you have to look at a manager's adversity. What were the setbacks that he's actually overcome? So Madrid had a bumpy ride in 2021 season under Zidane. It was an injury-ravaged side, a team that had really sort of come to the end of its sort of usefulness, and a lot of replacing was needed. And it was their first season without a trophy since 9-10. But they still only finished 2 points behind Atletico in second place, and they made it to the semi-final of the Champions League, where they lost to Tuchel and Chelsea in the Champions League. They lost to a Spanish third division side in the Copa del Rey, Alcoyano. I don't even know how to pronounce them. They also lost in the knockout stage of the Copa del Rey 2018 against relegation battle Legan 2-1. And he seems to have quite a few issues in the Copa del Rey, which might show some of Zidane's flaws in games and competitions where maybe he chooses to rotate or weaken the squad. the link issues with United is seemingly there's no urgency or heightened interest in managing England, and there were some quotes that have come out today which seem to suggest that he wasn't or isn't ready to manage in the Premier League. Supposedly warming to the idea, but his wife isn't keen. Falker said that Zidane's told the board he isn't ready to take over and would ideally wait till summer, which again I could definitely see happening. I think the best attribute appears to be his man management. Do United need a renowned tactician? No. Do United actually need someone with a style of play that they can implement? Is Zidane underrated in terms of his tactician sort of template? Is it short term? Personally, the Ten Hag appointment would be more in line with what I would want to see Manchester United be. And Manchester United might represent something different to you. And you might think football has evolved and changed, but they said that after Sir Matt Busby, and then we had Sir Alex Ferguson 25, 30 years later. So don't tell me that it can't be done. Let's work on how to do it, because for me, that is the best way to do it. United are not financially set up to compete with the likes of Chelsea or Real Madrid, for that matter, changing managers every 12 months. United aren't financially set up to be able to compete on that kind of front. So I think United have to do it in a different way. And I think the different way would be to look for someone who's a bit more long-term. Now, maybe 25 years is totally unrealistic, but is 5 to 10? It shouldn't be unrealistic, because that's how long these projects really take. If you look at what Klopp achieved at Liverpool, it took him 5 years. Yeah, these things do take a little bit of time to implement. Now, I'm not saying that necessarily means that Ollie should get 10 years. I think the writing's probably on the wall for him. He may well have reached his ceiling. He may well have found the level where he could be. And maybe that tells you everything about the Glazers that we need to know, is that they've probably found a manager that can probably comfortably get us into the top 4, and he might get to the occasional final, and he might even win one occasionally. But I don't think he's got the chops to be able to compete with Klopp or compete with Pep and create that sort of legacy and dynasty, certainly at Manchester United under the current sort of mentality of spending it from the ownership. But does Zidane satisfy that? Does Zidane come in and manage for more than 3 years? I tell you what, if he won 2 titles and 3 Champions League in those 3 years, I honestly couldn't give a toss. I'd probably be happy days with that. But for the longer term success of Manchester United, does it need to be built structurally properly from the beginning? I think Zidane seems like the most sensible option, but again, if like Ten Hag, he's just not available or not interested in coming, then what's the point? United have to identify somebody, or you're going to end up sticking with Solskjaer. And if you're going to stick with Solskjaer, I definitely think a statement needs to be made. You can put a threat in the statement. You can set a target. Whether we like it or not, some players, and I'm not saying this has happened at Manchester United, but some players, because it has happened in other clubs, for sure, have gone, you're getting sacked in 3 weeks, mate. I'll just wait for the next manager and I'll impress him and I'll work hard when he gets here. It's an attitude that doesn't make sense to me, but it does happen. And maybe there's some Manchester United players who think that he's going to go in the next few weeks and will go, I'll just wait for the next manager to come along and I'll be his best mate. United need to make a statement, otherwise they risk losing every single thing of this season. If they're backing him, then you have to publicly back him. You can't back him by just not sacking him. It's got beyond the point where you can't just assume everyone thinks he's safe, because they don't. The results and the performances do not indicate that he's safe. So come out and make a statement. The statement doesn't mean to be, yeah, we're going to sack him if we lose a couple of games. Doesn't have to say that. You can come out and be strong with it and say, you could even sort of laugh at the speculation, as maybe as silly as that might be. Come out and say, listen, we are aware of the speculation surrounding our manager's future, but he has a contract and is a project we believe in. Solskjaer is well aware of the metrics and performance that he will be measured against. And if he fails to achieve those targets, we would have to review his position. But that's not, he's getting sacked next week. That's giving him the confidence to walk into the dressing room and look the players in the eye. And some of these players might think he's out the door in the next few weeks. It might not, and probably isn't going to be the case, unless we just like lose 3 or 4 on the bounce. The indecision this week tells me they've made their mind up. But if they have made their mind up, then they need to come out and say that they've made their mind up and give him some ammunition to go back into the dressing room. Otherwise, this season could be an absolute write-off. And by making the statement that I've just suggested there, you can easily set the tone for if he needs to be gone in the summer. If you have then made the decision that he's got to go come the end of the season after you've committed to him for this season, you can put plans in place for now to replace him, whether that's Zidane or Ten Hag, whoever it is. You can work with them, you can identify targets, and you can make the transition from this manager to the new one a lot smoother than previous ones have been, where it honestly looks like we don't have a fucking clue what we're doing. Anyway, Zidane, he's looking like the better candidate option for me. And that's not even in talking about the relationship that he may or may not have with Paul Pogba, the relationship that he should have with Varane and Ronaldo. Those are pluses for me. And they're also not a plus for me, but certainly a plus for the United board is the fact that it's Zidane. He's an Adidas athlete, one of the best and biggest of all time. They'd love to appoint Zidane. That'd be like a new signing for them. They've probably fucking heard of him, which they probably can't say for 99% of the players that play for us. Nice one. See you in a bit. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.